Hello everybody, it's Miss Taylor here, and I'm here today to read you some of Michael Morpurgo's version of Beowulf. I say version because this is quite a famous story and it's been told lots of times by lots of different people, but this one is adapted for children, and it's set in Scandinavia, so it's quite closely linked to the Vikings. So I'm going to apologise now for the way that I pronounce some of the names. I might not get them all right. I had good intentions in the beginning to learn how to say them all, but then it turns out there's a lot of names in this book and I couldn't remember them all. So I'll try my best. So it starts like this. Hear and listen well, my friends, and I will tell you a tale that has been told for 1,000 years and more. It may be an old story, yet, as you will discover, it troubles and terrifies us now as much as it ever did our ancestors. For we still fear the evil that stalks out there in the darkness and beyond. We know that each of us in our time, in our own way, must confront our fears and grapple with the monster of the night who, given a chance, would invade our homes and even our hearts if he could. So roll back the years now, back to the 5th century after the birth of Christ, and come with me over the sea to the Norse lands we now know as Sweden and Norway and Denmark, to the ancient Viking lands of the Danes and the Geats and the Angles and the Jutes. This will be our here and now, as this tale of courage and cruelty unfolds, as brave Beowulf battles with the forces of darkness, first with that of foul fiend Grendel, then with his sea hag of a mother, and last of all, with the death dragon of the deep. So we've got our first illustration here. That's Beowulf there. This story begins as all stories do, before it begins, for there is always a mother before a mother, and a king before a king. In Denmark, all the great lords, those royal descendants of Skjold, that great and good king, followed in his footsteps and stayed strong against their foes and loyal to their friends. The kingdom prospered. From their conquests the land grew rich, so that the people flourished and were happy. Feared by their enemies, loved by their allies, the kingdom of the Danes became great and powerful in the world. Then the Lord Hrothgar came to the throne, son of the old king Helfdene, great-grandson of Skjold, and he was too to become the greatest warrior king of them all. Fierce in battle, he fetched back home more treasures from his conquests than had ever before been seen or even dreamt of in Denmark. But he was generous too, with a good father to his people, so that they obeyed him, and always gladly. Hearing of his increasing glory in battles, more and more warriors came to join him. It seemed to them, and to him, that there could never be an end to all his power and wealth. The kingdom was safe from its enemies, the people warm at their hearths and well fed. Truly, it was a land of sweet content. What do you think? Do you think it's going to stay that way? I have a feeling something's going to happen. To celebrate these years of prosperity and plenty, Hrothgar decided he would raise for his people a huge Mead Hall. It must, he declared, be larger and more splendid than any mead hall ever built. Only the best timbers were used, only the finest craftsmen. At Hrothgar's bidding, they came from all over Denmark to construct it, so that in no time at all the great hall was finished. And there's another picture here for you to look at. That's the Mead Hall. Mead is a type of drink that they used to make, and it made you quite merry. It was truly even more magnificent than he had ever imagined it could be. Heorot, he called it, and at the first banquet he gave there, Hrothgar, by way of thanks, gave out to each and every person rings and armbands of glowing gold. No king could have been kinder, no people as proud and as happy. Night after night they feasted in Heorot, and listened to the music of the harp and song of the poet. And every night the poet told them that the story they most loved to hear, how God had made the earth in all its beauty, its mountains and meadows, seas and skies, how he had made the sun and the moon to light it, the corn and the trees to grow on it, how he gave life and being to every living creature that crawls and creeps and moves on land or in the sea or in the air. And man too he made to live in this paradise. Around the warming hearth they listened to the poet's story, enraptured, enthralled, and entranced. But there was another listener. Outside the walls of Heorot, in the dim and the dark, there stalked an enemy from hell itself, the monster Grendel. Sworn enemy of God and man alike, a beast born of evil and shame. He heard that wondrous story of God's good creation, and because it was good, it was hateful to his ears. He heard the sweet music of the harp, and afterwards the joyous laughter echoing through the hall as the mead horn was passed around. Nothing had ever so enraged this beast, as night after night he had to listen to all this happiness and harmony. It was more than his evil heart could bear. And I've got another picture for you here. That's Grendel, and you can see the Mead Hall in the background there. What do you think is going to happen? We've been introduced to Grendel. He's described as a monster. You have to wait until next time to actually find out. Have a think.